Hello and welcome to The Telescope. Every week we'll bring you a fresh insight from the biggest car market in the world. The breakneck speed of the Chinese car market is very well documented. Even on this channel, we have showed you cars that swap out a new set of motors and batteries in just 2 years. But still, today, I think we're witnessing a new record. The MG4 was launched on August the 29th, 2025 and is consistently selling over 10,000 units per month. And this is already the 2026 model year MG4, or as it's known in overseas markets as the MG4 Urban. Now, I should mention a tiny milestone. MG has delivered more than 1 million cars in the UK and continental Europe. This is the first Chinese brand to achieve this. And here we are filming this on April the 24th, 2026, just 7 months later, and already a model year update. I know other publications probably think there are other updates that's more important for this model year, but in my opinion, the addition of wireless CarPlay to this car's infotainment is without any doubt the biggest update in this 2026 model year. Now, viewers outside China at this point are probably wondering, how could the original MG4 not have wireless CarPlay? Well, it just doesn't. In China, it doesn't have this. There's a bizarre theory that's very popular among Chinese manufacturers that by supporting CarPlay, you're somehow admitting that a car's infotainment alone is not good enough, so that you need the help of CarPlay. I know, crazy, right? It makes no sense. For people who are deeply embedded into the Apple ecosystem, for example, myself, CarPlay is an absolute must. I like the fact that all of the data stays on my phone. I also like that when I park my car in my phone, it marks the parking location. So much more apps could be used and vastly superior audio quality compared to Bluetooth. And I also like the fact that when I lend this car to my friends and family, I know they can very easily get going without going through a deep dive into the infotainment. This is regardless of how good or bad this infotainment is, okay? Me celebrating this car to have CarPlay is in no way a negative comment to the infotainment itself. I mean, Xiaomi has one of, if not the best infotainment of all cars, and they sell 150 million phones a year of their own. You know, they have even better reasons not to support CarPlay, but they do. I know for international markets, MG always had CarPlay. Now, I applaud MG now including this in the domestic model, and I hope more manufacturers can come to their senses, because you are shutting the door on a massive user base, that is Apple users, by not having CarPlay, and all this because of the ego of your infotainment. The second most obvious update is this 15.6-inch screen. This was only available in the top trim in the long-range version. This is now standard across all trim levels except the base trim. The benefit of this bigger screen is most noticeable in this, the ICCOA CarLink. Now, if you can see, this is my Xiaomi phone, and the infotainment is perfectly mirroring every move of my phone. This is the next step beyond CarPlay. You know, 60 frames per second, full functionality. This screen, because it has more vertical space, this is now almost as big as the real phone. I think this update, this new screen update, is China only, because in overseas markets, you have more of an emphasis on physical controls, so that in overseas markets, you have a smaller screen, but more buttons. Thirdly are these seats. Now, for a car that's just over 10,000 euros, you can now have cars that are heated, ventilated, and yes, I'm still going, massage seats. I kid you not. Now, I'm not that into massage, but I know this is an equipment that's usually linked with much more expensive models, and this is a car that's barely over 10,000 euros. Other things, MG claims this blue is the same as the Porsche Taycan. Now, I believe them because I know both of them get their paint from BASF. And if you really think about it, it's also in BASF's interest to sell the same color twice to a new manufacturer. Porsche has paid for the R&D cost, so why not? So yes, this really is Porsche's blue. Dynamically, there's no change. That kind of changes is impossible even for Chinese manufacturers. But also, I don't see anything that needs to be changed. This is still the most powerful car in its class by quite some margin. You don't need to overcompensate, you know, going full throttle all the time to make up for the lack of power. You could do that, and you will be overtaking most cars on the road. For about 12,000 euros, that's the spec we are shooting with today. This car, because it has heat pump standard across the range, you can use this car really as the only car in the family to become that no compromise, full function electric vehicle across even some very tough winter climate, you know, or if you have a home charger, or if you live in a place where the winter is relatively mild, then that base range 430 kilometer CLTC range version could also work as well. The assisted driving system we showed you in the previous reviews is now available with the base range battery. And now you also get an ADAS light, a blue light on the mirrors to tell the others that this car is now under ADAS system's control. Now, I never understand why someone would like to let others know that they're not in control of their car, but I guess that's quite rare to have ADAS system this advanced on such a cheap car, so maybe people would like that. They've also added essentially a super enhanced ESP system called VMC. It could now handle punctures up to this car's VMAX, which is 160 kilometers an hour. In the materials we were given, it says it could now handle 4 simultaneous punctures. I mean, I cannot imagine how that could happen ever in real life, but hey, it's standard across the range, and this kind of super enhanced ESP system is only available previously in cars that are much more expensive, you know, up to 300,000 renminbis. My only wish or suggestion is I hope MG can reapply all of the learnings from this car back to the rear-wheel drive MG4, which is still dynamically a superior car to this. However, the interior of that car is getting dated, especially compared to this. It's quite weird actually for such a low-cost sibling to have an interior that's vastly superior compared to its more expensive brother. This is not a huge update, but such an update exists already is quite something. I mean, the original spec only lasted 7 months. I do hope all of the extra hours done by the MG4 engineers could be billed appropriately. You know, I cannot imagine how this kind of pace could be achieved from 9 to 5, you know, normal working hours. Thank you for your service. That is all from The Telescope today. If you enjoyed this video, keep watching, keep subscribing. More videos coming along very soon.